Hi, I'm Professor Ronald Wixman, and I was a professor of cultural and political geography specializing in the Soviet Union. In my last talk, I explained the importance of the Eastern Ukraine and Crimea to Ukrainians today and why in the current war they cannot give it up, which is basically economic. In that talk, I also discussed the fact that so many of the investors and capitalists and merchants within the Russian Empire were foreigners or peoples of the Soviet Union, or might say the Russian Empire, other than ethnic Russians and Ukrainians. And just to give you one last example, one half of the world's oil in the year 1900 is produced in the city of Baku and Grozny. The person funding it was Rockefeller. The reason I'm raising that is that as I talk today about the Russian Revolution and the role of Ukrainians and how this plays into the current situation, it was Rockefeller who funded Lenin in the revolution because the Tsarist government was so inept and so bureaucratic and corrupt, and that it was the Austrians and the Germans that brought Lenin back to Russia after the First World War was over and Russia had withdrawn. What I want to do today is to explain to you that the Russian Revolution was not about socialism. It wasn't about workers' rights. That is one of the common beliefs, and it is a misbelief. If we look at what happened during the war, Finland, Poland, which took Western Ukraine and Belarus with it, Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania, and Moldova seceded. Moldova joined Romania, as Moldovans are Romanians. The Transcaucasian republics of Georgia, Armenia, and Azerbaijan seceded. The North Caucasus seceded. The Kazakhs and Bashkirs seceded. Central Asia seceded. Siberia seceded. And we even had an embassy in Siberia for 3 years. Here is the point. Although we hear that the Russian Revolution and Lenin was all about workers' rights, etc., that was the verbiage. Lenin did not believe in ethnic rights. He believed in a woman, philosopher, socialist in southern Poland by the name of Rosa Luxemburg, who said, in a socialist revolution, do not give in to ethnic and national divisions because the workers of the world must unite. Lenin came back, brought by the Austrians and Germans, in order to take Russia out of the war and to create a new state. To repeat, all of the areas I mentioned to you had seceded already. And Ukraine, the biggest of the regions, the wealthiest of the regions, the one with the largest population, the one with the great breadbasket of Russia, the industries of Eastern Ukraine, the Donbass, seceded. Lenin had no choice but to give up on the idea of economic socialism. Why Stalin? Lenin needed to prove to these ethnic minorities that he, as the head of the Bolshevik Revolution, supported their ethnic rights, their language rights, their cultural rights, to the point that he would allow them to secede. Ha, that's nice. They already had seceded. This is the point. Lenin had to shift from a policy of socialist economics to one of ethnicity. He therefore told Ukrainians who had seceded and all the others, if you follow me, we will form a new union which all of you will have rights. Why Stalin? He needed a non-Russian, non-Jew in order to symbolize that. What was Stalin's position? He wasn't the head of the military. That was Trotsky. Stalin was given the position of Commissar of Nationalities. And that's what the Civil War of Russia was about. By doing this, Lenin was able to convince many of the ethnic leaders to join him to create a socialist paradise in which Jews would no longer suffer from anti-Semitism, the Muslims would be equal, etc., 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 and Ukrainians for the first time will be able to use their language. As a result of this, the Estonian and Latvian riflemen were actually called in by Lenin to put down the revolt by the workers. And let me stress this. Lenin oppressed the workers. Having won the Russian central area, and the workers there went into revolt because they weren't being paid, he needed the Estonian and Latvian riflemen to put down the Russian workers. So most of the country was put back together, but more than anything else, Lenin needed Ukraine. Ukrainian nationalists and the Ukrainian anarchists wiped out the White Army. That is what won the revolution or the civil war for the communists. Now, what does that have to do with today? Is that what happened afterwards was that Stalin, as the head of the Nationalities Bureau, now turned around and listed all of the ethnic nationalists who had supported Lenin and Stalin. He redefined them as bourgeois nationalists, and they were either killed or sent to Siberia, to labor camps, or forced to flee the country. For example, Trotsky ended up in Mexico. The Islamic leaders ended up in Turkey. Those are the ones who survived. Ukrainians were totally betrayed, but there would have been no Soviet Union had it not been for the Ukrainians rising up and wiping out the white armies in Ukraine. In my next talk, I'm going to discuss what happened, however, with collectivization, World War II, and the post-World War II period, during which Ukrainians as an ethnic group turned against Stalin and the state, and they suffered severely for it. Thank you.